Hello, and welcome to the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. We are two sisters who share our fondness for knitting, the things that we create, and our love for the knitting community. And we do it all with the little twist of both the frivolous and the frugal. I am Frivolous Dawn, and in our family's birth order, I am the fourth of 8 children.
And I am Frugal Miss Penny, and I am the oldest in our birth order. And by the way, you're going to hear us talk about our sister lady, or later, not lady, sister later. And her name is Faithful Nikki, and she is third in the birth order. Well, we're so glad you've joined us again this week. Welcome back to our returning viewers. We sincerely apologize that we're running a little late this week, but someone had a brand new granddaughter who needed some snuggles. So we hope that your wait has been worth it and you'll glean a nugget or two from our musings this week. And for those of you who are first-time viewers, we're so glad you're joining us. We'd love to hear about how you found us. And we also would love to hear if you picked up a nugget or two, either from the fibers we share or the patterns we share. We're hoping that it is something that you can take with you and chew on for the next week until episode 53 comes out. So without further ado, grab your knitting, your favorite note-taking device, and your sense of humor, because here is episode 52 of the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. Take it away, Dawn.
All right, can we talk about the elephant in the room from the beginning? All right.
Absolutely, please do.
I know we always say what's around our neck, but I'm going to say what's around the mannequin's neck. It is done.
Woo! Good job.
This is Winter Lights by Stephen West.
It is even prettier than I imagined.
Yeah, and it just goes and goes and goes. Yep, I used Amanda Hope yarns. She has an Australian superfine merino base. It's a sock yarn, and it was in a set called The Gradient. It's the Gradients of Teal, or the Teal Gradients. Yeah, on a US 4. Now, what's interesting is the shaping. I don't know. I call these angel wings or something. Wow, that was a very long straight cast on. Ended up again with like just over 700 stitches, I think. So color 1, the lightest of the teals, and contrast color 3, which is the darkest of the teals, I had about 2 grams left of each of those colors. I know. And then the 2 medium teals, I had about 30 grams left. So and I didn't have to block aggressively, because when I wanted to block out like this, that's feather and fan?
Looks like a feather and fan
Yeah.
pattern.
So when I just pulled it, down to create the little tip here, I couldn't pull too hard because then it distorted the honeycombs. So I got to just lay it flat. Yeah, and I'll post some pictures on Instagram later, but it was a beautiful bright day here the other day. And then I took the mannequin outside and took some pictures with the snow in the background, and it just turned out, I thought, pretty. It was just one of those days that captured the colors. I'm very happy with it. It's not as deep as I anticipated it to be, but I'm not so sure it needs to be as deep as some of the others because of that wingspan.
Right.
Yeah, so now we just need a place to wear it. So again, that's Winter Lights by Stephen West.
Absolutely gorgeous, Dawn. And I'm so glad you followed the pattern, because I'm wearing the Rune Shawl by Helen Stewart, and someone did not follow the pattern. She had no idea she wasn't following the pattern until at the end. So it is much smaller than the original design. And I knit this out of, perhaps my favorite commercial yarn is Rowan. And this is out of Rowan Pure Wool Superwash DK, and it's in the anthracite, the snow, and the kiss colorways. I knit it on a size 6. And for those of you who haven't knit it, just turn on your imagination and shake your head when you see what I did. I totally forgot the eyelet rows in the beginning of the shawl. So if you can imagine all
I forgot about that.
Yeah, makes it a little bit bigger. So anyway, it was on a size 6 and my fiber is probably $3 on the frugalometer, and the pattern, because I bought it with the Shawl Society when you and I did it, Dawn, I gave it a 1 on the frugalometer. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what I'm sporting, but I'm taking it off because there's been a seasonal change in the room.
I understand how that happens. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Austin just walked in to hand me my earbuds, so I don't know if you saw
Oh,
me reach
no,
out a
I
screen for a
didn't.
minute,
That was
but
kind of him.
yeah, that was very kind. And what is around my neck is I just finished this a couple of weeks ago. It's the Colorshift by Carina Spencer, and I believe it's a free pattern on Ravelry. We definitely will link it in the down bar below, as we will everything that we talk about. Well,
Mhm.
maybe not everything. Okay. And, and great stash buster. I also think this would be great for a new knitter who just wants to get really good at knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one.
Mhm.
It's the same number of stitches through the whole cowl, but what you change is needle size and the number of yarn strands that you carry. So you start off with 2 strands and you use throughout the whole cowl a size 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. As you go down, you start picking up a 3rd strand, and at the end, you're picking up 4 strands. I think 1,200 yards in this
In that
cowl.
little thing?
Yeah, no,
Oh my
just for
goodness.
comparison, 1,700 here.
Wow.
So it is nice. Now, if you were of smaller stature, this could be a capelet.
Oh, yeah. But actually, Dawn, I like the way you're wearing it. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty snazzy.
And then what I've done is, you see how long it is? I just
Uh-huh.
keep, I was raised when cowls were first cool. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. We just talked. Do we even say the word cool anymore?
Yes, we
Um,
do.
yeah. So that's why I've got it folded. And it's one of those that you could loosen up, snuggle up, whatever you need to do, but great this time of the year where we're still chilly, but with any luck at all, it gets a little bit warmer throughout the day.
Chilly. Dawn, that's relative. You're in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Your chilly to the rest of the United States is frigid. So you know.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's all perspective, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, so I liked this not only because it was a free pattern, this was all just stash. I grabbed skeins that I didn't have, that were not quite full.
Mhm.
The ones that I did know or thought I knew, I put in my project page on Ravelry. But if you just need a good stash buster, use colors that you like. Start it with the number of cast-ons you want, end it when you're happy. I just think it's a win-win.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And of course, it's very stylish right now. You can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Well, not quite so stylish, but yet so utilitarian for me is the Golden Sand Shawl by Joji Locatelli. You all have seen this several times, but it really is my go-to shawl because I wear black quite a bit. I just throw it on. And it was knit on a US size 6. The pattern, I gave a single $sign on the frugalometer. And the yarn that I knit it with was from Knit Circus Greatest of Ease Fingering Base. It's a gray gradient, and that earns $5 on the frugalometer. But anyway, fun shawl, wear it all the time. Works great. Great accessory.
I don't know if I've ever knit that.
I don't believe you have.
Oh,
And it was one of the very first ones I knit because I was a bit intimidated by some of the sizes of the shawls that I saw coming out. So I just tried this one. And literally a very good one. If you are a new knitter or coming back to knitting after being gone for some time, this would be a nice shawl to go ahead and give it a try because you have a lot of garter stitches you can see. And if you use a gradient, it gives it some interest. And then it has a very simple
yeah.
lace border and it's not all that large. So if you look at it, it's small compared to what you just saw with Dawn Shaw. That's all the
Oh,
bigger it is.
but it's a nice
So maybe
crescent.
6 foot. Yes, shallow. I don't even think it's a foot. But yeah, you can wrap it around and it's got the little curly ends like you like, Dawn.
I do
So
like those.
yeah, I think it's great for the one returning to knitting or the newer knitter.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. I think you may have something a little stunning off your needles.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I do. And I didn't even share it with Dawn before we came. Now, for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, one of my goals for 2021 is to be a monogamous knitter, to knit only one project at a time and knit it to completion. So as I said, we just had a granddaughter born about a week ago, and she is just the cutest little thing. So anyway, for all of our granddaughters, I knit christening ensembles, and it's always a gown, hat, booties, and a blanket. And I finally finished from the tapestry set by Judy Lamb. The gown has that little eyelet collar. The eyelets are repeated on the sleeves and then at the empire bodice. And then the bottom is very textured. And this really reflects my daughter-in-law's use of baubles in her decorating. And you've already seen the rainbow blanket that I knit for her because she requested it, and it had baubles in it too. And as you can see, it just has 4 little buttons along the back, and it is now ready to be washed and blocked. I have not trimmed any of the ends because I do that after I block. So anyway, it will get washed and blocked, and then after a couple small projects, I'll start on the hats and booties, get those off my needles. They kind of fly off. And then I'll start the blanket. But I got to tell you, Dawn, I'm going to be writing my own pattern because this ensemble does not come with a matching blanket.
Oh, so will you use some of the pattern that's in the gown?
Yep, that's what I've decided to do. So it'll be my first try at loosely designing a blanket.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to have a call for test knitters?
No.
Okay, well, good. All right.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it, to be real honest with you. That would require some organizational skills that I don't currently have at the moment.
When I think of design. All right, what's I just have a couple, well, other than the Stephen West shawl off my needles. I'm a copycat.
You are? I can't imagine that. You did the woven cable headband. Dawn, that's gorgeous. It's
You
gorgeous.
showed that last week and I thought it was stunning, and I had some of the yarn. So Fiber Co Tundra, I think it's Snowdrift is the color. Okay, you have to do it if you like cables. It's knit flat and then connected. I had maybe 1/4 of the skein left, so not enough to do another one. I followed the pattern as written and could not be more thrilled with that. That Tundra is spectacular yarn. Yeah, even for me, that's got to go 3 or 4 on the frugalometer.
It's delectably delightful on your hands, so.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Yeah, so that is a very fast project that was on and off my needles. We used to call those co-fos, right? Casted on and finished object between podcast episodes.
Yes.
So anything else?
No, no.
Oh,
Monogamous.
Oh, that's right. How boring. Okay, look at this thing.
Oh, Dawn, look at that.
Is that not chunky?
That is chunky. Tell us about it.
So it's called the Perky Little Hat by Sharon Lynch. I'm not very good at how to pronounce that. Lentzsch. Lynch?
Lynch.
Malabrigo Rasta on a size 15.
Oh, okay. My goodness.
I'm not exaggerating when I say, I don't know if it took 2 hours.
I bet not. That is
because it's a free pattern. It's cast on 40 and there's only 30 rows to the whole hat. Yeah.
I like it though.
Now,
how fun.
I can't say it's warm. See the problem? But stylish, absolutely. Look at this. Well, I can't come over my headset. So I had some yarn left over, so
Of course you made a pom-pom. Why wouldn't you?
Okay, so I watched the video by Roxanne Richardson on
Yeah.
how to make a really tight knot if you're
Okay.
using like the clover pom-pom maker. So this is the size of the pom-pom maker I used.
Mm-hmm.
It was clover. I got it in a set where there were 2 of them.
Okay.
Great instructions, lots of YouTube videos on how to make this work. So I did that, then I watched it, but look at the problem. I can pull it right out.
I know.
So I don't think I can attach it. Okay, so why not go to your Czechoslovakian stash? Because that's why you have one. Okay, what do you think?
No, that's obnoxious, Dawn.
I think that
Oh
looks
my
great.
Dawn. Dawn.
It's
That
like
just that moved you off the cool chart. I'm
that
just
that is like a beacon in the night.
ah,
I don't have any
ah,
I don't have any purple pom-poms. What's a girl to do?
we'll put in another Czechoslovakian order, of course.
Yeah, stand by. Could you talk for a few minutes while I go online? Um, yeah, so you know what? I don't know. And then somebody did ask me about what buttons I use to attach, and I'll see if I can show these. These are just buttons I get at Joann Fabrics.
Those are
Called
huge, John. Are
my
those 1
favorite.
and a half or 2 inch?
1.5 inches, and there's 2 buttons per package, and then I use my coupons there, or they
Uh-huh.
have a buy one get one. This might show it a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, much better.
Okay.
So I just draw this string through there, but I was so bummed, and I don't have any. I have like 3 yards of that purple yarn left, so I'm going to take some waste yarn and just practice that knot, because obviously I didn't follow something correctly
So did
after
you
watching the
use
tube.
I'm sorry, did you use the yarn to tie the knot or that thread?
Yeah, she recommends using strong yarn, like a 75-25 sock yarn, because with that nylon in it, she said it becomes a pretty strong yarn. She said some people had used dental floss, but her dental floss was kind of slippery, so that wouldn't have been effective.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a 2-row bind off decrease. Yeah. So yeah, I like it, and it'll probably go in the gift box. Now, um, I got asked Thursday to teach this as a class next Thursday. So
Oh,
I figured I better knit one up. So I knew the
absolutely.
pattern. But yeah, I haven't used Malabrigo Rasta in years. So
And
boy, probably
so
3 or 4, $3. Of course, free pattern. But when one skein, and I think Rasta is 150-gram skeins with 95 yards on them. So any of those super bulkies, it's a great, and it only came in one size. So I'll be interested to see if it fits my head. It would definitely be too big on some people, probably. So, and I didn't even bother to try to do the math if you could change sizes with it, but yeah, and the pattern looks like this when you
how
turkey little hat.
fun.
Yeah.
So are you going to knit that for a beginning? I mean, are you going to teach it for a beginning knitters class?
It is kind of the bonus after that class is over. So
That's a good
one
idea.
of the ladies in the class wanted to try knitting in the round. And so she's really getting the hang of knits and purls. So this will not only be in the round, but also decreases. So yeah. So what are you working on there, Miss Monogamous?
Well, I'm monogamously working on our Frivolous and Frugal HatKAL pattern for the month of January. So I have knit on the brim of the slipped stripe hat by
Oh yeah.
Joanne Kiley. And it is a free pattern on Ravelry. Miss Joanne actually is the owner of Magpie's Cottage in Sheboygan Falls, where Dawn knits. And so we chose to do that with our I guess a knit callus, the best way to put it, with our virtual events. So I'm using everything out of Stash
Oh,
because that was another one of my goals. So essentially, the black is my Barocco comfy sock yarn. And then the off color I'm trying to get rid of use up all my Knit Circus yarn. This is Knit Circus's Greatest of Ease fingering in the Big Surprise birthday colorway. So that's what I'm hoping to do. I'll knit this hat, and then when I finish it, I'll do probably one more small project and then go back to the christening gown. The Barocco Comfy Sock gets a $sign on the frugalometer. My Greatest of Ease, $5 signs on the frugalometer.
And I have that exact same skein if you want another one.
No.
Yeah.
I am really not a fan of speckles.
Yeah, you
For the
never have
record,
been.
I
Yeah.
never have been. And believe it or not, I don't know why I bought gradients, because I'm not a real fan of gradients
No.
either.
But you know what? It's a perfect pattern you've picked. The dark solid, and that gradient will pop in those slip stripes.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that one done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And but what about you? Anything else on your
Well,
needle?
I'm working on the current knit along, hat knit along in my ho-he bag.
Of course. Why wouldn't you have it in your ho-he bag?
Yeah, why not? Well, let me see. I've got the pattern right here. If I could figure out how to get it unmagnetized. Hermes Hat was the name. And again, we
Yeah.
kind of laughed. We don't know if it's Hermes or like the designer Hermes, but there's, okay, what's that little sign that would be over the E?
It's not the tilde. We would call it probably like an accent mark, but it's a diacritical mark. You use it for language and linguistics, so you know how to pronounce certain sounds.
Diacritical. That is the word for the day.
Diacritical marks, tildes, diuresis, diuresis is how some people pronounce it. The tilde is that little wiggle worm that you see in Spanish that rolls or has a special pronunciation. I won't get into the IPC linguistics chart, but yeah, that's what they use them for.
Wow, did I learn a lot today?
The breve and the macron for short vowels and long vowels.
Oh, yeah.
Those are diacritical marks.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I just, when you say diacritical, I think diabolical. Oh, okay. Can you see it starting?
Oh, yes, it is, Dawn. I think that's a brilliant blue, I've got to tell you.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure when I picked it if you'd be able to see the cables, but you can. The yarn I picked was Brew City yarns and the Impish DK base, and then Rowena's diadem. Now this was I bought 2 of these yarns as part of a kit to do a Harry Potter shawl, and then I changed houses, so I can't do Ravenclaw colors. And it is really, really nice. I don't know if it's still available, but it's nice yarn, and it's a Milwaukee-based indie dyer. And unfortunately, she lost a battle with COVID. And so she is, I don't know if her family will take over the business or not. This hem is one of those turned under hems that you connect. Provisional cast on. I'd done before, but I hadn't done it in a knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2 pattern. And don't look on the inside because they don't quite match up all the way around. And I didn't catch that till well into the hat. So I'm hoping to finish this before the next episode. I'll block it, and we'll report off on pom-pom or no pom-pom next week. And I literally am following the pattern for the second largest size. There's many sizes available on the pattern. So so far it looks like I'm gonna have plenty of yarn, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. So the Hermes Hat by Beatriz Rubio.
Very nice. Well, you've been busy, my sister.
Are you working on anything else?
When you're monogamous, you stick to one thing, which leads, oh, look at you, the pioneer gloves. I knew you would do at least 3 things.
Well, I cast off Stephen West. When you're used to doing 700 stitches in a row, these seem like a dream. So I'm doing the longer version ones.
Uh-huh. Oh, nice. What yarn is that?
That is a great question. If anybody knows, will you tell me? this
Oh,
is
oh,
it. We're both tipping over here.
I know.
In my stash, it's fingering weight. It's a high twist. I would, I can't imagine I ever bought this. Not my color.
Beautiful color though. Oh no, you saw it in something. That's why you bought it.
Yeah, probably. I don't know, but I like it. What's nice about this pattern, it's by Kelly McClure. I think she's Boho Knits. I saw again, it must be Joanne week. Joanne Kiley was knitting these, and you can knit them, both of them, if you have 50 grams. If you do the short
Oh,
version,
okay.
I'm doing the longer version, and I believe at least right now it is a free pattern. Here's an example of the ones that are a little bit longer.
Mm,
Oh, go the other way, Dawn. There you go.
I like it.
Yeah. So, so far, a quick knit. I will report back on what it uses. So obviously, it's going to use over 50 grams. But I don't know. I kind of like fingerless gloves. So
You do.
yeah. Now the big next question is, what shawl do I cast on next?
I don't know.
I
Are
don't
you gonna give us
either.
a teaser? Oh, you don't even have an idea?
It looks
Oh,
like
I find that hard
yeah.
to believe.
Looks like I'm going to be knitting Slip Tiles by Stephen West as a shop sample, but that yarn's not ready yet, so that's kind of on hold. I haven't done Melanie Berg since the first of the year, so one would think I need to do one of those. And one of my goals for 2021 was to knit 2 shawls from designers that were new to me. So I'm
Mhm.
looking at the Delphia shawl by D. O'Keefe. And
Ooh.
yeah, so I think one of those I'll cast on this week because it's so strange for me not to have a shawl on the needles. So, but yeah, otherwise that is all. I'm like, oh, you know what? I have another one. Yikes, I forgot about this one.
You did
Okay.
not. Otherwise, it wouldn't be at your feet.
No,
You're
I don't
trying
know
to
if,
be modest.
I don't know if I added it to the show notes, but I will. Okay, this we saw on one of our virtual knit nights. It's called Discovery by Isabel Penny. You may have to help me with the or how to pronounce her last name.
It is, what is the name of it, Dawn?
Discovery
Discovery? I
by
don't think,
Gabriella.
yeah, I don't think it's in the show
I think
notes.
it's Imbalt.
Oh, it is. It's Imbalt.
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 Okay. So it is a long multi-textured cowl pattern. I'm just starting. Let me tell you a little bit about the yarns. This is just Cascade Heritage sock in the marine colorway. Just a great workhorse for a yarn. And this is fun. Let's see if it picks up the colors. It's white and just see tiny little speckles in there. So there's pink and blue and green and purple. This I got from What's Up Yarn. She's an indie dyer out of California, and this is a silk base. So I think it's like 50 for merino and silk in the skull colorway. I met her when we went to that Ann Budd retreat several years ago, and she had it in a different base, but she dyed it for me in this base. So I think it was Miss Bonnie from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I don't know why. I don't
Oh,
know
I
why I
think it
have
was
to.
her. Yes, yes.
And it's a longer cowl again, very similar. If you want to do a comparison, if you know what the 3-color cashmere cowl looks like. I can't believe I don't have the pattern here that I could show you. But I must, oh, do I have it? Ha, I do. Stand by. And I believe this is a paid for pattern on Ravelry.
I believe it is too.
There it is.
You
Let me
could
come.
wear that as a top, a tube top.
Yeah.
Well, look how long it is, Dawn. That model could wear it as a tube top. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
she sure could. I could not. That would be, there
Oh,
would
me
be no
either.
forgiveness. Now, a good thing that I did, and I don't know how many people do this, but these colors are very muted, pinks and grays. There's some color work in there that if you see this up close, but I was looking through other people's projects
Uh-huh.
who posted pictures on Ravelry, and I liked, of course, the high contrast. So again, for me, these are all the things I've casted on right now are all stash busters. So
That's great. It's going to help you achieve your goal for this year. You're going to try to balance in and out, aren't you?
I'm going to try, but I may have done some damage this week.
Okay, moving right along. So that way you don't have to confess. I'm just going to
No,
take
I
that
won't
word.
confess, but see what happens when I don't get to chat with you a lot? I buy a lot. At least that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, I can shoulder the blame for this. Well, listen, now that we've seen everything you're working on, what were your takeaway lessons for this week?
You know, two things happened this week that I hadn't planned for. One is last week you had shared with us kind of the parameters of sharing the copyright of intellectual intelligence. So I was teaching a beginning brioche class, and I was using Kate Atherley's pattern called the Friday morning brioche. And I gave it to the gals who are in the class because it was a free pattern. And so I shared it with them. Well, it's not free anymore. And so I sent her a message in Ravelry and asked her if how she'd like me to pay for those patterns. And she sent a couple of messages back and forth. She was just asked me some great questions about, do I intend on using it in the future and things like that. And in the end, she said, you know what, just make a donation to your local animal shelter. You know, so that was interesting. And then after last week's episode, Alexis from Cold Comfort Knits must have seen the hashtag that she was tagged in on. And so she sent us a very lovely message, not only on YouTube, but I think it was on Instagram, and she commented. So again, they don't have to do that. I just think it's fun when you include people and their designs, and I'm sure it tickles them to see people working on their designs as well. So I say pay it forward, you know, absolutely.
Yes,
So a little bit
yes.
of kindness or give people acknowledgments,
Mhm.
whether it be in our knitting world, professional world. It takes very little to say thank you, or it takes very little to ask for help. Most people seem very willing to help us along the way. So, yeah, that's kind of what I learned
Absolutely.
this week.
That's neat.
And I've memorized the last 3 digits on the back of my Visa card. That might have got some use this week.
I'm guessing we might have to talk after this. Actually, my lesson is going to be right along with what I'm learning, and that is that monogamous knitting is much like a monogamous marriage. All right? It is. I happen to be a monogamously married woman, and both of them have required some of the very same skills. They've required me to sacrifice when everybody else is casting on. Eat. They've required me to make choices not to do that, not to participate in perhaps maybe other forms of relationships. I don't know. I'm not going to tease that one out too much. Um, they also require constant adjustment.
Oh, yeah.
They require me, and this even knitting the gown caused me to adjust things, adjust timelines, adjust my expectations and my goals. Both of them have required tenacity because I am someone who believes till death do us part. And, I might be able to, speed that up at times, didn't say how you were going to die, but one of us. But it's required me to be tenacious, to finish it, to go to the very end, even through the challenging parts, even through the difficult parts. It's required me to be diligent and humble, to say, I've got to go back, tink this, I've got to redo this, I need to try something different here. Not only that, it's required me to learn how to be content with the season I'm in. And as I learned to be monogamous for a variety of reasons in my knitting, it's much like my 40 plus years of marriage with my husband. It's required me all of that. And it was just kind of a subtle reminder this week that I guess maybe now I can put some of the skills I've used in my marriage into practice in my knitting. So if you're someone who is not monogamous in your knitting, that's quite all right. I'm just trying to be more focused so I don't have a bunch of UFOs at the end of the year, right? And I'm knitting specifically from my stash. So, yeah, that's what I was learning.
Wow.
Yeah, not really that profound, but thank you. I appreciate the sound effects.
And, yeah, okay, I could really get off course there, but I won't. Um, Good. Is there anything going on at Frivolous and Frugal
Well, as a
that you
matter
want
of
to?
fact, there is. And as you know, we were delayed one day this week. That is not going to be something that's going to be consistent. But let me catch you up on a few of our giveaways. We have not yet reached 2,000 subscribers, so that's still in the works. But thank you for you new viewers who
Yeah.
have subscribed. That's been kind of fun to see. We also were supposed to have during episode 52 a giveaway from our Finish Fix Flip or FrogAtCal in Ravelry, and we did not have Knitting with the Aunties this week. So we'll choose that next week during Knitting with the Aunties, and we'll announce our winner during episode 53. Then we also have in episode 56, we will have another YouTube giveaway. So that's several episodes away, one where we'll pose a question and ask you to respond. So those are the giveaways and the cals, Dawn. But what's coming right around the corner, which is one of our favorite parts of Frivolous and Frugal, are our virtual knit-togethers. So if you were unable to join us for our evening knit nights, we have a daytime virtual knit together that we'll be offering on Saturday, February 27th from 10 to 12, like 10 a.m. to noon Central Standard Time. We will post the link to our Zoom meeting in Ravelry about an hour before the event starts in case someone might need some technical help. And then if you are not on Ravelry, if you will email me at my email address below in the notes, I will send you that link once again about an hour before we open the room. Now, if this will be your first time, let me just kind of give you an idea of what our virtual events are like. They are 2 hours of jam-packed talk about nothing but knitting. We give everyone the opportunity to participate at their own level of comfort. So we'll say choose your own level of participation. And what we do is we invite you to share what's on your needles or what's off your needles, especially if it's just a recent completion and you'd like to share. And then again, also, if you're wanting a little bit of feedback, maybe you don't know the next step you should take with this project, or you might want to know how to modify the project, but you're not sure how that might work. This is a great forum to do that because we're live and you cannot believe the number of ideas and suggestions we get when we open it up to the participants. And then third, our other question that we use to guide our 2 hours together is different for each of our events. So if you happen to join us on the morning of February 27th, the second question is going to be this: what was your favorite knitting project and why? So we will use those to guide our time together. Now, let's say that you have the inability to join us for a Saturday morning, then we'd like to invite you to join us for our virtual knit night, which will take place on Saturday, March 13th from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Once again, same basic setup. We're going to invite you to join in the group, choose your own level of participation, and we're sure that you will leave inspired with a warm, full heart of just the community of fiber artists that we have, is especially associated with this podcast. And I know you agree with this, Dawn. They're the most gracious group.
Yeah.
They are just very kind. So that evening, once again, the questions will be what's on or off your needles. You're welcome to share that. And then the second question is going to be, which knitting project of yours has the perfect knitting trifecta? So which of your knitting projects had just the perfect color, the perfect fiber, and the perfect pattern. And if you have it available, we invite you to share that with us. So, as you know, it's going to be a busy month of knitting together. And I just have to say, it's not really, I don't want it to sound poorly, but if you missed knitting with us for the February virtual knit night, you missed a treat. Miss Jen Hanley came on and provided a wonderful program, PowerPoint presentation on the history of Newfoundland and the history of Newfoundland knitting, primarily the mittens. And so, Miss Jen, from the bottom of our hearts, we want to thank you. Your presentation was just what that evening needed, and your willingness to share and answer our questions made it so wonderful. So thank you, darling, for joining us for that. And Dawn and I will continue to try to find guests that we believe reflect the same type of community that we're trying to build amongst knitters. So we invite you to join us. Did I forget anything?
The only thing is if you can't join us for any of these, we put down, or Penny actually correlates or collates the notes. So look in Ravelry under the discussion boards. They're labeled very clearly, but we provide hyperlinks for everything, whether it's a yarn shop that's talked about, a designer, specific patterns, specific yarns. It's amazing because it just makes it so easy when you go back, because I'll like all of a sudden remember a sweater somebody showed. And instead of trying to really think about it, I can just go right to that discussion board and find it. So, and many people have commented, Penny, that they appreciate that you put together. So.
Well, I'm glad we do that because I think, like you said, it's all about helping one another. And speaking of that, perhaps maybe you have already taken a look at the Saltwater Mittens book, or you've seen it. Maybe it was on the backdrop when I was recording in another room. If you are interested in doing a mitten knit along with us, Miss Jen is going to be our resident expert, and Frivolous and Frugal are going to invite you to join us in March to cast on one of the Newfoundland mittens. Now, Dawn will remember these better than I do, but there are 2 patterns right now being offered as singular purchases on Ravelry. One is the old boy, the little boy.
Little corner boy, is it?
Little corner boy. I think that's it. And the other one features the salt and pepper pattern,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
And I don't know how to pronounce it. Bacciliele.
Yeah. It's
Amen.
like
Okay.
Bakaloo.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, maybe.
yeah.
So if, again, a discussion board's been set up for that with all the links to the patterns, a link to the book. Jen is watching that as well. She gave us some great places to buy the specific yarn if you're interested in using it. And I posted a link to the US distributor for that Canadian yarn. So, because that may have been one of my purchases.
No, I can't
And
imagine.
if you spent more than $60, free shipping.
I don't need to ask one more thing. Except Dawn mentioned earlier that she is knitting our Frivolous and Frugal hat pattern for the month of February, which was the Hermes hat. If you want to join us, again, we have a thread set up in Ravelry. We'd love to see pictures of it. And if you finish it and join one of our virtual events, you are invited to share that with us.
Absolutely.
Also, if you're doing ornaments with us, February's ornament is any of the Advent ornaments from Arnie and Carlos's Advent calendar and or their books. And if you want to be inspired and challenged, not only in design, but technique, please visit the threads, because Dawn and I were talking before we started recording that we had a viewer who actually provided us with an alternative cast on, the pinhole cast on, right?
I think that's the name of it. Yes.
Yeah, and so she just not only encouraged us to give it a try as an option, but showed us pictures. So please, if you are in the mood for starting your Christmas ornaments, Frivolous and Frugal is the place to start. And the new patterns will be announced in the month of March. We plan to do this all year just to see how it goes.
Yeah.
And Dawn, I don't believe I have any other news to mention other than what our dear faithful Nikki would say.
Absolutely. What would Nikki say?
Well, this is what she'd say this week. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Take a moment and realize that your grass is okay and enjoy the times that bring you peace and contentment.
Yeah.
In my monogamous knitting, I have to realize that everybody else's grass isn't always greener, right?
Absolutely.
Mine's the perfect shade for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you, sis. We appreciate your little words of wisdom and encouragement. And I think that does it for episode 52, Dawn.
I have nothing else around me to say that I
share?
don't think I don't have any notes, of course, but yeah, I think we're done.
That sounds great. So Dawn and I and Nikki and Fearless Miss Brianna are hoping that your week is a sweet twist of the frivolous and frugal. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you in episode 53. Bye-bye.
Bye.